Welcome back, everybody. We're coming in with another installment of Replacing Goblins, or Interesting Starter Encounters. I haven't decided on a name. Maybe you can leave it down in the comments.
So, first creature up to bat this time, kobolds. They are really interesting because you can get a bunch of different classes from them as well. There's what they call the Dragon Shield, and they're kind of like a tank class. They have the Inventor, which is like the Artificer before it was cool. And they have Sorcerers too. So you've got a lot of different options for your encounter building as far as their capabilities against your players, which is good. On top of that, they all possibly could have flight. It's kind of just a gene that can be found in kobolds. So you could have flying wizards, tanks, things like that. It's also fun and easy to roleplay goofy high voices for your kobolds and keep them kind of dumb. That's always a good time. The DM layer does a good job of that and has made a whole bit of it. Another thing that's helpful with these, as I mentioned earlier, with all the classes and the possible flight option, you could make an easy encounter for lower level players, or you could make a really difficult encounter if you pair their tactics together to really punish your players. Kobolds have an actual inherent unity with dragons, so they might be servants to dragons, they might be like actual kind of like kin to dragons. So you want to have your players be careful, because it's kind of like they're the bully at school, and if they beat up the wrong kid, they might have to fight their MMA fighting dad.
Next up, we're going back to the elementals. And it's not Mephits this time. We're going to be talking about Geonids and Kargara. I'm not sure if that's how that's pronounced, but you better leave it down in the comments for me. So, first of all, Geonids, they're just living rocks. And I like to think of them as like little rock crabs, or the little rocks from Pirates of the Caribbean that carried the boat away. And the cool thing about these rocks is they can track you anywhere as long as you're in their territory. And who's to say where their territory ends but the DM?
Exactly.
And that could be almost limitless. And it's not something that you can like shake off or like get rid of. So as long as you're in their territory, they can pinpoint you like GPS. You're not getting away.
Yep.
They happen to pair very well with the Kargara, and these little nuisances are going to be such a pain for any NPC. Maybe not your characters, but NPCs are going to be plagued by these. Just a swarm of them can fly, eat metal, and pass through stone or metal as if they were like Danny Phantom. It's ridiculous. So just trying to catch them, hard. Trying to find them all, hard. And if you're an NPC and you only have the one sack of gold to your name that's supplying your family with food, and a Kargara eats it, hard.
Yeah, not good.
As far as it goes, this is going to be the easiest encounter you can make, but the hardest one that they're going to deal with.
For sure. Another really good encounter for low-level characters especially, that might be as generic or overused as goblins, but hear me out, is the undead. So you've got a lot of options here. Zombies, skeletons, specters, shadows, those are all going to be less than a CR1 encounter. One more thing that's good about these, they're not setting exclusive, so no one's immune to being a zombie. Not even, well, I guess goblins. You can make goblin zombies.
Perfect for this video.
Yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, no one's exempt. They're ready to eat for everyone. You could even set up a really interesting and unique encounter where one corpse, maybe someone that the players were fighting, or maybe not, one corpse ends up creating a zombie, a specter, and a shadow. And you could make a whole situation where instead of the players have to fight these things, they end up finding that a lot of their slain enemies become these things, and they just have to run or leave or find some way to remain safe or survive.
Yeah, a real battle of attrition there. Every person they kill becomes 3 more enemies, and they just have to restrain them now. Well, the people, not the monsters.
Right.
Next up is actually another group of monsters, and it's gonna be blights. There's twig, vine, needle blights, and they all kind of have something specific that they do. Like the twig blight, it's got slashing attacks because it's dangerously sharp. There's needle blights that can shoot needles, literally needles, at you like cactus or other things. and then the vine blights can grapple and strangle other things. Alone, they're not necessarily threatening, they're more or less a nuisance. But all together, they can really start to be something that could throw your party for a loop. Just imagine a couple of twigs at your feet start hacking away, and then the needles start spraying out, and as you're distracted by the twigs and the needles, vines come down to wrap around your parties. Another really cool thing about these plants is they're indistinguishable from normal plants until they attack you. So that's just throwing everybody's passive perception of 18 or something right out the window. I do also realize these aren't really a replacement for goblins. They're not like humanoid creatures in any sense that they have a body. But what I wanted to put here was the wood woad. And that's actually a little wood man with a club and a shield. And he's a bit too high of a CR to land in the low level monsters category. Just imagine if you were to put all of the skills for the blights onto the wood woad. That could be a really cool homebrew monster and still fit this category.
Next up on the list, we have imps and pixies, kind of. You'd think that they're not really that similar at all, but mechanically, they have a lot of similarities, and even kind of with their intentions. They both love trouble, and they're just kind of nuisances. So, let's touch on those a bit. The imp has a bite attack that will also inflict poison damage. That can be pretty dangerous in a lot of situations. Also, they are typically tied to or servants to some other bigger evil, like some other devil or monster and things like that. So kind of the situation where you beat up this kid and his MMA dad beats you up after. Very possible to set up here. And one last thing to make them a real troublemaker is the fact that they can use invisibility. So that's not going to make them easy to deal with.
And the next one that's kind of similar to imps, believe it or not, is going to be the pixie. They have a certain love for mischief, just like the imps. But while an imp's probably going to put like tacks in your boots, the pixie will probably put honey in your boots. Light-hearted mischief just to make them laugh. They have all the general things that make a standard CR1 or 2 creature deadly. These are like the cheat code when it comes to building an encounter. If you didn't want the encounter to happen, put a couple of pixies in the series. The pixies become very, very deadly, with 3 major things that gets in the way for any normal person trying to fight a pixie. That's a 20 in dexterity, advantage on magic saves, and here's the big one, it's got a long list of spells it has access to, like polymorph, or like the imp, it can just be invisible at will. It's pretty ridiculous, and it's such a small, tiny pack creature, you'd never see it coming. Even though they're cute, a group of pixies could turn your whole party into a group of sheep just because they wanted to have fun.
Alright, so that wraps it up for this one, but one more thing. If you wanted to check it out, the Dungeon Dudes put out a similar video about low-level encounters. You can find that over here. But other than that, thanks again for stopping by. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time.
Later, everybody.
I can't remember if pixies can go invisible or not too, but I feel like they can.
Yep, greater invisibility. At will, they can cast greater invisibility.
Oh yeah, that's
themselves. So that's like
that's
that's really good.
right. That's just become invisible because I said so.